Welcome, everybody, to the history of new media design. New media design is a fairly contemporary art form, or being recognized as a art form. It encompasses performance art, installation, conceptual design, interactive design, and we're also going to talk about various delivery technologies. Okay, this is a very, very exciting uh, talk because I very much consider myself to be a performance artist, installation artist, amongst other things. Okay, so let's get started. So, new media or new genres is a very contemporary style or styles of art making. New genres is an artistic movement begun in the early 20th century. This movement is marked by many notable artists who work with a variety of media such as video art, body art, installation, performance, and sound art. So I think what's really important to note is um, it wasn't until the 20th century that we had the ability to record things. Um, Specifically around the 1960s, 1970s, we're really able to record things like with handheld cameras. We've developed this technology so far that now we're really able to capture these moments in time. And through that, and also sound it has ran very close to video art. So through those new technological abilities, we're now able to really explore and recognize these newer art forms, um, like body art, installation, performance, and sound art, which is very, very exciting. New genres is a practice which begins with ideas. It begins with ideas. Then it moves to the appropriate form or media for that particular idea. Sometimes inventing entirely new sites of cultural production, new methodologies, technologies, or genres in the process. New genres gives emphasis to questioning preconceived notions of the role of art in culture and its relationship to a specific form or medium. I'm going to read that last sentence again because it's important, very important. New genres gives emphasis to questioning preconceived notions of the role of art in culture and its relationship to a specific form or medium. Okay, so now we as artists are even more empowered because um, the idea is now important. It's not just this object. It's now we've broadened the scope into ideas. Okay, and the ideas, um, uh, once you have the idea, then how do you get it out of your mind? What's the media? How can we convey this idea in the most powerful way to move the most amount of people? Okay, so it's very, very exciting. We've accepted and we've opened our minds to new genres. And one of my favorite new genres, or new media, vignettes, if you will, is performance art. Okay, performance art is it's just there's just really so much you can do with it. It's just such an exciting, really almost limitless field. Okay, but I have to talk about what we consider one of the first performance artists. Okay, and this is Yves Klein. Okay, while the term performance and performance art only became widely used in the 1970s, the history of performance in the visual arts is often traced back to futurist productions and Dada cabarets of the 1910s. Throughout the 20th century, performance was often seen as a non traditional way of making art. It was not recognized as high art. This is a very new idea. So that's why it is so exciting and feels so limitless. In the post war period, performance became aligned with conceptual art because of its often immaterial nature. Now it is an accepted part of the visual world. The term has since been used to also describe film, video, photographic, and installation based artworks through which the actions of artists' performance or the audience are conveyed. More recently, performance has been understood as a way of engaging directly with social reality, the specifics of space, and the politics of identity. In 2016, theorist Jonah Westerman remarked performance is not and never was a medium, not something that an artwork can be, but rather a set of questions and concerns about how art relates to people and the wider social world. So performance can have this ability to really activate these conversations about how art relates to people and the wider social world. Okay. Quick disclaimer, Yves Klein for this particular piece used naked models. And if you feel uncomfortable, scroll through. This is just high art. This is performance art, and I just wanted to put that disclaimer because I would never want to alarm or offend anybody. Okay, so Yves Klein. This is I apologize. I am not going to try to pronounce the name. It's Yves Klein. I'm just not even going to try. French is just it's if you don't know how to pronounce it, I'm not even going to try. So this piece, we'll look at it just very quickly. This was 1928. Oh, excuse me. 1960. So this is 1960, okay? I apologize. I'm getting him mixed up with Marcel Duchamp, who we'll talk briefly about in a little bit. But on the 9th of March in 1960, at the Contemporary Art Gallery in Paris, Yves Klein created really what we consider as the first performance art. And there are stills from it. There's a little bit of video, and we'll try to see some of it. Okay. So now we have an ability to film ourselves. We can film this happening. So it's not just this moment in time. And Yves Klein also has a piece, has a painting, has an item that can be sold, that this print, this memory of time. So not only does he have not only does he have, no, we don't need to see Jackson Pollock. Just want some pretty pictures. Okay. So not only do we have the actual piece that has been printed with these models' bodies, but we have the record, the film, creating this recording of this moment, this happening in time, which strengthens that moment and the ability for it to be perpetuated into the future. Okay, so as digital artists, as graphic artists, we have this power. Okay, so that was what we consider the first. So I feel like we should always start with the first before we dive into more contemporary. Some of you may be familiar with Maria Abramovic. If you're not, she is she was really she started her career in the early 1970s. And the 1970s was really this time when we were able to record with our own recording devices. Okay, we didn't. I'm sure they were very expensive, but we as individuals had the ability to utilize this technology for our own art, our own purpose. Okay, so Maria Abramovic, she is in my opinion, one of the most famous performance artists. She did a wonderful job of recording her pieces, of creating that notarization. through repetition of these recordings or these stills of these happenings that she performed in. And she was always the focal point. She was always the person that um, that was creating the narrative. Okay, so she used her body in these situations. Okay, and also disclaimer: there are one of her pieces, and we'll see a still from it. But one of her pieces is she Maria Abramovic. Um, she One of her most famous pieces, she placed a bunch of like saws and scissors, and I think she even had a pistol, um, just these weapons on a table, and she stood in front of an audience, and she allowed the audience to do whatever they wanted to her with these objects for a certain amount of time. And I believe that it may have been recorded. I do think that there were stills of it, but this piece was incredibly important because when it demonstrated human behavior, it demonstrated the still very primal human nature that we have when we're allowed to have it. Okay, so her conceptual art and her performances based on that conceptual art were so powerful that she has earned herself a name as one of the most famous performance artists of our time. So let's watch just a little bit. We'll just leave it. Okay. And then let's try to find. So they're doing these terrible things to her. They're writing on her. They're because they were allowed to. And this performance was very, very integral in her career. Okay. Here's another piece. Another piece. Another piece. So she is not afraid. What I love and respect about Marina Abramovic is that she is not afraid to to bring up the hard stuff. And she's not afraid to put herself into these situations that people are most of the time not willing to say because it's what many of us would call it's our shadow selves. It'd be like it's very Jungian to say to talk about our shadow, but it's the part of us that we try to hide because it is not acceptable in society. But she was very, very brave performer, and that's what her work is talking about is the shadows that human beings carry. Okay, and talking about Marina Abramovic, we have to talk about Bruce Nauman. He was all about talking. His communication was trying to talk about the uh, the the what the artist plays in the art world, what the art plays in the art world. Um, he's really his work is very, very different, especially during this time. His pieces are just really making you kind of wonder, like what's what's going on, what is this purpose, why is this being made. But his work is very much art for art's sake. He's making art for art's sake. Okay, this piece, he's really focusing on the human form, he's focusing on the movement of the body. This piece right here is one of his most famous pieces where he is just walking in this square, and because he's minimizing the action, it's just walking, the audience is really able to focus on the body and the movement and the art for art's sake. Okay. And so Marina Abramovic and Bruce Nauman, those are examples of artists from like the 1970s. Okay. More contemporary artists that we can talk about, the one in particular that I think of always is Pipolati Rist, and her piece is Ever is Over All. Okay. Ever is Over All is fully staged. This was a pretty pricey performance art piece to create because all of these people are actors, all of these cars are props, and this flower that she's holding in her hand is also a prop. Okay, so this is a fully staged event. Okay, but she's able to record it, and then she's also recorded these flowers, and together when she's projecting it creates this narrative. So she has this extra ability. She has the ability of projection. So now she's making these projections huge of these very this very unique situation that we will watch. Okay. So this piece is projected on museum walls, which oftentimes are 13 feet tall. So these are huge projections, okay? So imagine being surrounded by this very hypnotizing sound, the slow motion. One side is flowers, one side is this carefree girl carrying a flower, smashing car windows. There's so much narrative here. There's so much conversation. I think we all understand the idea that this artist is trying to convey. So the only thing that's interrupting this very hypnotizing feeling is these smashes of windows breaking. Okay. So it jolts us out of this hypnotized state. With Pipolati Rist, Ever is Over All, 1997. Then we're going to jump to Matthew Barney. And so this is also a moment we'll talk about a little bit more in a moment, the difference between linear and nonlinear presentations. Okay, so Pipolati Rist is linear, specifically this imagery. She's walking down the street. She starts at one point, and she's walking until it's finished. Okay, so there's a point A going into a point B. Okay. Then we have Matthew Barney. Matthew Barney is what we would consider nonlinear because his pieces are vignettes of different scenes, and together they create this overarching idea. Okay, so this is linear presentation. Ever is Over All, demonstrating an overarching idea. Matthew Barney is much more nonlinear in that he has lots of different clips that really don't have any sort of relationship with each other, but together they are creating this overarching idea. They're this overarching narrative. Okay, and we'll watch as much as it'll let me watch of this trailer for the Cream Master Cycle. And so Matthew Barney has it's three. I believe there's three of them. They're all They're all very unique in their own way. And the production value on these performance art pieces is real high. Okay, super duper high. Um, so I encourage you, if this interests you, um, uh, give check it out. Check out Matthew Barney's any of the Cream Master cycles, number one, number two, or number three. I think number three is, maybe it's number two, the one where he's tap dancing as a goat. That's probably my favorite, but I've heard that the one after that is real shocking. So his work is also very shocking. There's a lot of shock art. There's a lot of symbolism involved. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of skip through this. Here we go. I apologize for the pixelation. See, these are all just clips of these symbols of these characters, but together they're creating they harness this overarching idea. Okay, so that's Matthew Barney. Okay, he's also an incredibly famous performance artist, and it would be a shame to talk about Matthew Barney and not talk about his past wife Bjork. I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with Bjork. She is Icelandic, an Icelandic music artist, but she's also very her music videos are very interesting and intriguing to watch. And it is no surprise that Bjork and Matthew Barney um, uh, became a couple, a pair. And you can really see Matthew Barney's influence in Bjork's work in like the early 2000s, 2010, because their influence together was they were just a very artistic performance art team. Um, Another thing about Bjork that we'll also talk about is when Bjork created her performances, because yes, she's a sound artist. She's also a visual artist when she and her production team creates these music videos. And one thing that I just want to touch base on, and we'll talk about a little bit more in this lecture, is she's not only thinking about and her production team brainstorming on how to create an interesting narrative for her music, but also how is it going to be delivered to audiences? How are we going to see it? In this case, we're going to be seeing it on a computer screen or on a smartphone. So we also, as digital artists, as graphic artists, we have this power to be able to create these very captivating narratives or songs or videos, and display them on our smartphones, on our computers. So and repeat it to perpetuate that moment and that brand and that idea for years and years to come. So I encourage you to go into YouTube and watch Bjork Human Behavior, because it just has so much to offer, okay? So this video is very much a piece of art. It's a piece of performance art. There's a set that has been built. There are characters. There's a scale model of a house, and then cut to the quote inside of the house where Bjork is sitting. There's just so much visual play going on here. It's a really exciting video to be able to share and hopefully get you guys inspired to all of the possibilities that performance art can bring to the table. And I have to talk about drag as well, because drag is absolutely performance art. And drag has been around, gosh, for I honestly don't know. I'm just going to say around the time of Dadaism and cabaret. That would be my guess. And if I'm wrong, please let me know, because I always want to get my facts straight. And it really it has grown and become this honored art form. I don't know how many people watch RuPaul's Drag Race, but I know I love that show. And it's, RuPaul has created a show, a successful show from drag. And RuPaul has always been a trailblazer in the drag world, and I have so much respect for everything that they do and everything that they bring to the table. But when we talk about drag, we're also talking about how are we delivering it to the audience. And what I love so much about drag is that it still honors theater. It still honors that theatrical aspect, but has also taken it and become empowered by the use of video, music, graphic art, and being able to present that on computers, on televisions, on smartphones to perpetuate and empower this art form. Okay. I'm going to show you a video from one of my professors. This is Joshua Grinnell. Actually, this is not Joshua Grinnell. This is Peaches Christ. And Joshua Grinnell, as they would like to say, Joshua is the one who pays all the bills and books all the shows. Peaches is the one who shines. Okay, so I learned a lot about the difference between your performance self, your character, and your everyday character. Okay, so when Professor Grinnell told me the difference between Peaches and Joshua, how Joshua is the one who does all the boring stuff Peaches would never want to do, like pay bills and get groceries. But Peaches was the one who shined. She was the one that Joshua did everything, paid all the bills for. She was the magic, okay? She was the spectacle. So being able to create that delineation or that separation of these two characters, the performance and the everyday, was a really, really important as a performance artist, okay? So I wanted to share that with you as well.
A sort of a superhero version of what I wished I could be as a kid. It's taking the feminine, elements, things I was told as a little boy were wrong to do, and letting them explode from inside you. I'm Joshua Grinnell, but often better known as Peaches Christ. When I was young, I really, wanted to be offensive and transgressive and in your face. I grew up Catholic in Annapolis, Maryland, a very conservative Catholic school. It was terrifying at that time to think of doing drag. I think I was interested in it, but it would have been social suicide. It would have been dangerous, quite frankly, back then in the late 80s, early 90s, for me to have tried it. I didn't name myself after Jesus so that I could go to church. I was pissed and angry and gothic. So I decided, well, why don't I take this name that had been used in many ways to instill fear in me and make people laugh and entertain them and do stuff that makes me happy. So in a sense, it's kind of a way of reclaiming something that I grew up with my whole life.
Beautiful. So Peaches, let's see if it's, oh, we don't get to see, oh, here we go. Here's her performing.
But I think it's through doing Peaches that Joshua was able to kind of fully embrace himself and say, you know what, I'm not gonna be president anytime soon, so I might as well do whatever the fuck I want.
So Josh is, through Peaches, has been able to create a lot of ownership and entertain people in a beautiful way and inspire people in a beautiful way. So I wanted to also include drag and RuPaul and Peaches Christ, because without performance art, without being able to record, being able to have this recognized art form, we wouldn't be able to enjoy the beauty that drag brings to the table. Okay, and finally, with performance art, there's Mark Pauline, and Mark Pauline is he runs this outfit called Survival Research Labs, and Survival Research Labs is connected to the Department of Defense, and so he creates survival objects, like weapons, and for the United States government, or has, and when as a way for him to kind of process that, he creates these installations, or these performance installations, where he very much puts his audience in an environment that feels like war. Okay, and that's his whole artistic purpose. We'll watch a little bit. So imagine being in one of these environments with these sounds and these machines. I've had friends who have participated, been one of the audience members back here, and they said that they were truly in fear the entire time. And that's the whole reason that he creates these installations, these performances for his audience, because he wants people to know. He wants people to know what what it's like and how it feels to be in an environment that is truly terrifying, like war. And sub note, I love Mark Pauline. He's truly one of my favorite artists. I've always wanted to go to one of these shows. So that takes us out of performance. And to sum it up, performance art is very ephemeral. One should record the happening in some way so the moment in time becomes more than just a memory to a handful of people. So all of these individuals, they recorded it. They had the ability to record the happening, the moment, the artistic, the graphic, and package it and promote their brand or their self. That way, Bruce Nauman and Marina Abramovic and Yves Klein. Yves Klein was 1960, Marina Abramovic 1970, Bruce Nauman 1970, and they are still very relevant today because they are able to record their work, they're able to promote it, and it's able to perpetuate through time. And without this new technology of recording and presenting on, cell phones or projections or computers or televisions, all it would be is just a memory. Is just a memory in time to a handful of people, and it wouldn't have the power that it still has today. There's this phenomenon, it's called the theory of repetition. And as graphic artists, as people who can record things, we can perpetuate that moment in time and strengthen the brand or idea for years and years to come. And what my video professor taught relayed to me is that because we do understand about repetition, and we do understand that repeating happenings or moments or ideas over and over again, it has a lot of power, and it has the power to challenge ideas and maybe even change minds. So, as you do work with video, if you choose to work with video in the future, just know that there's a lot of power there. And when we have power, we should always use it for the good, right? Okay, so use it to perpetuate your brand. Use it to perpetuate positive ideas to help people, and then we're using our powers for good. Okay. So we're at 41:43. I'm going to wrap up this lecture and then do a part 2. That way we can get through all of the other good stuff. Okay. So I'll see you in the next video. Take a little intermission, take a break, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Peace.